whose ribs have been battered. He can barely breathe himself. I don't know if he's going to be able to compete later on tonight. Of course,
the tension backstage was unlike anything WWE fans had felt in years. Cameras weren't rolling, yet whispers spread through the SmackDown locker room like wildfire. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief himself, had arrived unannounced. But this wasn't a typical surprise return or a setup for a storyline twist. This was personal. This was family. Because just moments before Jey Uso's highly anticipated match against CM Punk at WWE Saturday Night Main Event, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso came face-to-face for the first time in months. What followed wasn't just an emotional reunion, it was a moment that could reshape the entire legacy of the Anoa'i bloodline. The unexpected reunion. The entire blue brand was buzzing. Jey Uso was set to face CM Punk, a dream match few believed would ever happen. For Jey, it wasn't just another main event, it was a defining moment in his solo journey. Backstage, Jey was preparing, his usual confidence radiating through the locker room. Then suddenly the energy shifted. The hallway fell silent. From the shadows, Roman Reigns appeared, alone. No Paul Heyman, no Solo Sikoa, no entourage. Just Roman, calm and collected, yet carrying the same commanding aura that once ruled over WWE. Jey froze for a moment, his eyes wide. "You really here?" he asked quietly. Roman simply nodded. It was the first time they had stood across from each other in months. No tension, no anger, just a quiet understanding. Something deeper was in the air. A brother's advice. Roman broke the silence first. "I heard you got CM Punk tonight," he said, his tone steady. "The best in the world, huh?" "That's no small thing, Use." His words carried pride, but beneath that pride was something familiar, the tone of a mentor guiding his student before battle. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so no one else could hear. "Listen, CM Punk plays mind games. He'll try to make you doubt yourself. But remember who you are. You're not just Jey Uso, you're main event Jey Uso. You earned that name because you stood up to me and survived it. You're built different, Use. Don't let him pull you into his world. Make him fight in yours." Jey nodded, his usual fire replaced by quiet respect. Roman's words carried the weight of years, lessons earned, not taught. "When I stepped away," Roman continued, "I didn't leave because I was finished. I left because I knew the bloodline needed to grow. You, Jimmy Solo, you had to find your own power, but you—" Roman paused, pointing at Jey's chest. "You're the one who carries the spirit of this family." For a moment, emotion flickered in Roman's eyes. He wasn't the tribal chief talking to a follower. He was a brother, a cousin, a man passing down wisdom forged through leadership and pain. "I'm proud of you, Use," he said quietly. The words that changed everything. Those 5 words, "I'm proud of you, Jey," hit harder than any spear or Superman punch. You could feel years of tension, betrayal, and redemption melt away in that single moment. This was the same man who once demanded Jey kneel to him, who forced loyalty at all costs, now speaking to him as an equal. Jey swallowed hard, visibly emotional. "You don't know how much that means," he said softly. Roman gave a small, knowing smile. "I do. Because I've been where you are. I fought for this family, for this name. Now it's your turn to carry it." The sacred Ula Fala moment. Then came the moment that would echo through WWE history. Roman reached into his bag and pulled out something instantly recognizable, the Ula Fala, the sacred red Samoan necklace that symbolizes leadership, power, and heritage. It was the same one Roman had worn when he declared himself the tribal chief years ago. The air grew heavy. Roman looked at the necklace for a long moment, then at Jey. "This isn't about titles anymore," he said softly. "It's not about who's at the head of the table. This is about what comes next." He stepped forward and gently placed the Ula Fala around Jey Uso's neck. The gesture was slow, symbolic, and filled with meaning. "Now you have to take our family legacy forward." The room was silent. Those watching, superstars, crew, and family, knew they had just witnessed something monumental. The symbolism behind the gesture. In Samoan culture, the ulafala represents honor, respect, and authority. It's worn by chiefs and elders during sacred ceremonies. For Roman to pass it to Jey was no small act. It was a declaration of belief and trust. But Roman never said, "You're the new tribal chief." Instead, he said, "Take our family legacy forward." That line carried deeper meaning. It wasn't about hierarchy, it was about responsibility. Roman wasn't stepping down, he was evolving. And in that evolution, Jey had become more than just another Uso. He had become the family's heartbeat. The CM Punk factor. Roman's timing wasn't random. He knew Jey's match wasn't just another bout, it was against CM Punk, a man known for psychological warfare. Punk thrives on creating doubt, on making his opponents question their identity. Roman remembered facing Punk during his Shield days. He remembered how Punk's words could pierce deeper than any physical strike. That's why his advice to Jey, "Make him fight in your world," wasn't just guidance. It was a battle-tested strategy from someone who had already walked through that fire. That night, the ulafala wasn't just an accessory, it was armor. The backstage reactions. After Roman left, several figures emerged from the shadows, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman among them. Solo's face was unreadable. Was he proud, jealous, or quietly inspired? After all, he had once been seen as Roman's heir, but seeing Roman place the ulafala on Jey's shoulders might have lit a new spark or ignited a new rivalry. Paul Heyman looked shaken. The wise man who had stood beside Roman through his reign now faced uncertainty. If Jey was stepping into leadership, would Heyman serve him as loyally as he did Roman? Or would he seek to restore the old hierarchy? The questions hung heavy in the air. The emotional undertone. This was more than a passing of the torch, it was a moment of reconciliation. Roman and Jey's story has always been about family, pride, and forgiveness. They've fought, cried, and bled for the same cause. And in that quiet hallway, they found closure. Roman's words, "I'm proud of you," weren't just a farewell. They were a promise. A promise that even when their paths differ, their loyalty to each other and to the bloodline remains unbroken. For the first time, Roman seemed to fully trust Jey, not just as a family member, but as a leader. What's next for the bloodline? The moment has already sparked massive speculation. Fans believe this could set the stage for something bigger, a tribal summit where Roman, Jey, Jimmy, and Solo decide the family's future. Others see it as the beginning of Roman's final WWE chapter, passing his influence to Jey while still watching from the shadows. Imagine Jey Uso versus Solo Sikoa for the right to carry the family's symbol of power, the ulafala. A rivalry that's not about betrayal, but about destiny. Roman's final words. Before leaving, Roman turned back one last time. "Remember who you are, Us," he said quietly. "Whatever happens tonight, win or lose, the family stands with you." Then he walked away. No entrance music, no spotlight, just silence filled with meaning. Jey stood alone for a moment, adjusting the ulafala around his neck. The expression on his face said it all. This wasn't just about CM Punk anymore. It was about carrying his family's legacy, their strength, and their pride.